Hello everyone and welcome to Moonride. This is Dave and I'm here to channel the man in the moon. Today we're going to channel on Lindsey Graham. I've had a couple requests to do this and it seems appropriate. So let's check out Lindsey Graham, see what Spirit has to tell me and you about him. It's very interesting because as I see Lindsey, I'm just kind of getting the impression that he's a decent guy, you know what I mean? Just a regular guy. I see him kind of playing as a child with a ball, and he's just like the kind of guy who, you know, he may have an opinion or something, but he shares, you know, he's not going to keep the ball for himself. He's not a mean guy. He doesn't just say, well, only us. You know, I may not agree with everything that he does, but I don't see him as a dark and evil person. Also, I think that he's pretty smart. It's like he sees the culture around him, and he is able to see what the truth is a bit. Again, this does not justify all his behaviors and his opinions, which we might disagree with, but let's look a little bit more at Lindsey. And what does this red ball mean? I keep seeing him with a red ball. I'm just getting that he's just... I kind of want to say both. This is a new ball game, but he knows how to play the ball game. That's just what I'm getting. That's sort of how he's showing up to me. And it's a little bit like, I'll follow the ball where it goes. It's not a question of like kind of huge ethics. I'm just getting the impression that he's a pragmatist. So what are you gonna do with this ball, Mr. Lindsey? He's deciding. He's just dribbling along, and he's kind of deciding. I think he's right down the middle with a lot of these questions. He's just he sees the truth. He's trying to be reasonable. So I also get the impression that sometimes he lets Trump win at golf, but not always. You know, sometimes he's like, you know, not this time. So he's a little bit in the game. You know, he's just in the game with Trump, and I get the impression that he's smart enough to deal with Trump. He can kind of manipulate him because Trump isn't very smart. And he knows how to manipulate him and flatter him. And like, you know, flatter his ego. Okay, Lindsey, tell us more. What are you going to do about Kavanaugh, for example? Well, he's looking kind of disappointed, and he's looking like, look, you know, I gotta support him. I'm a Republican. I can't contradict the president on this one. But he's not enthusiastic about it. He's not really gonna go and argue with Collins or Murkowski. I get the feeling that he actually would not support him. He in another circumstance, he wouldn't accept him, but in this circumstance, he's kind of obliged to do it because it's a Republican. And that's that. He's like, look, if your party nominates somebody, you can't go against them no matter what. Although he doesn't really agree with him, he doesn't really like him, he doesn't really trust him. And he's looking at that, and he is considering the major implications that this could have for our society. And he is really quite worried. Like, well, I might have to do this, but I'm very worried about the future of our nation because of this decision if this guy goes through. So he's kind of saying, look, I'm not going to stop it. I'm going to vote for it, but, well, I won't be talking to Susan Collins and encouraging her. To tell you the truth, he'll be kind of happy if a couple of Republicans oppose Trump's choice. If they oppose him, he won't have to. And that's sort of where he is like, that's the best case scenario. And he's looking at me and saying, look, you know, the best case scenario right now for my party is a wash. Like, if nothing happens, that would be the best thing that could happen because everything is so bad right now. He's just kind of weary. He's just getting to the point, he's like, look, I'm not going to quit, but I'm really disappointed, I think, in humankind. I mean, I think he's very disappointed, for example, in his own party. Anything else that you want to tell us, Liz? Are you gonna stop Trump at all? Hmm. Can you show me something that tells me this so I can confirm it, Mr. Graham? Hmm. 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 Wow. Okay, so you know those beautiful antebellum mansions that you sometimes find in the South? I'm seeing one, with the pillars and all that stuff, and it's burning to the ground. And as he's watching it burning to the ground, he's kind of like saying after the Civil War, that's the end of the South, will never rise again. And that's a bit how he feels right now with the Republican Party. Like, well, this is a total rout, a total disaster, but I'm going to be pragmatic and see what there is to save at the result of this. And he's not thinking this was such a great thing. He didn't necessarily think the beautiful White House, which was supported by slavery, was good. He's not supposing that at all. He's not talking about ethics. He's just a very pragmatic person. And he's saying pragmatically, I have to talk to Trump. It's a little bit like the insider who's just written the op-ed. He's saying, somebody's got to be there to try to persuade him to do some of the right things. And we can't get rid of him yet. That would be politically impossible. There has to be somebody in there who's persuading him, and frankly, somebody there who knows what he's going to do next. Because he's like, this guy's a dangerous guy. And you have no idea how hard it is to be dealing with him and trying to steer him in the right directions and trying to figure out what he's going to do next and trying to, plant certain ideas in his head so he doesn't do anything too crazy. He says, literally, I am there to watch him and make sure he doesn't get anywhere near any red buttons. And it's funny because he keeps showing me golfing. He keeps showing me that he's on the golf course and he's kind of hitting holes, like he's putting and he keeps making it. So I think that we have to understand that he is doing something behind the scenes. We do not know what it is on the surface. I'm seeing something about that, but we don't know when we watch TV what he's really doing. Are you going to let him get rid of Sessions? So to his face, to Trump's face, he'd be all smiles. Oh, yeah, Sessions, you guys don't get along. Hey, that's, yeah. But in the meantime, in the back, underneath the surface, he's doing everything he can. He's really going to talk to other senators. He's trying to make sure that they don't get rid of Jeff Sessions. He knows why Sessions is there. And he knows that Sessions is in trouble because Sessions has broken the law. And again, he's just like, look, this is a disaster. We've literally just lost our war, and all we can do right now is try to pick up the pieces. And it's sort of an imposter has taken over our party. And I have to get with the imposter and get as close to him as possible to make sure that it doesn't get worse. He's like, this is the most thankless job. And I am trying to protect Sessions under the surface. I know it doesn't seem that way. But he's also saying, look, once this election's over, I don't really... I think we have more chances to stop Trump and to help Sessions. Are you going to stop Trump, Mr. Graham? He's nodding, he's saying, yep, already got it all planned out. He's telling me that he's working behind the scenes with other senators to make a plan. And the plan is kind of, let's do our best at this election, let's try and get as many seats as we can, and then afterwards we'll get rid of him. We can't get rid of him before the election because we won't be here and I'm going to lose my job, but also There'll be nobody here to steer this ship correctly. It'll just go, everything will go wonked. And so I really do have to sort of work behind the scenes. I get like Senator Grassley, there are all the old school Republicans, all the true Republicans, the ones that have existed for a long time, not the, radical ones, but the ones who've been around for 20 years, who know how things work and can see the long game. He is being actually very patriotic, and he's saying, look, it is extremely important that I befriend this guy. He's too stupid to know who's his friend anyway. I'm just pretending. But it's in the meantime, I am talking to every guy I can, every lady I can, and we're sort of in agreement that we're going to get rid of him. Well, let's ask, are you going to get rid of Trump for sure? Really? He's saying yeah. He's saying yeah. And he has this kind of funny way of like sort of holding his lips. It's funny, like when you see that he's kind of like, whatever. He does this sort of thing with his mouth that's just like, yeah, it has a sort of meaning of, oh man, this is difficult and I'm doing it, but I don't really believe it. Or can you believe this guy? This sort of like, the I'm with stupid shirt. He's kind of like that. And he's really slapping his head on his face. He's just like, oh, God, could we get a bigger jerk? And sort of wondering, how did his party get here? Yeah, he's like, again, kind of going back to the red ball. He's like, this used to be more fun. This used to be more of a game that we played with each other and we all followed the rules. Yeah, that's the red ball. We all knew how to play the game, and we played the game and we were fair and we tried to follow these certain rules. And, sort of where did the party go that it stopped being fair and it stopped following the rules and it just indulged in this madness? And keeps showing me the burned out antebellum mansion. And he's like, that's the past. He's like, it is over. The Republican Party, as it was, no longer will exist. We're going to have to rebuild just like the South. We're going to have to rebuild it almost from scratch. We're going to have to deal with all of this fallout. Wow, okay. It's funny because now I'm seeing him kind of behind bars. Lindsay, what are you doing behind bars? Oh, it's like a prison. This is like being in prison. And there's certain rules in prison that are spoken and unspoken. And he's actually getting out of the prison and he's locking it. Like, okay, I'll be glad when I get out of here. And I feel like after Trump, it will be like getting out of prison for him. Anything else you need to tell us? No? You don't want to tell us anything more? Okay, Spirit, is there anything else you need to tell me about Mr. Graham? Don't believe what you see. When you look at TV and you see Mr. Graham, do not believe the words that he is saying. He is operating about 6 levels deeper. He knows what he's doing. I mean, this guy's been around in politics for a long, long time. He is an expert at what he does, and he knows who the other experts are, and the experts are getting together and they are doing things which the average American would consider patriotic. They are making contingency plans. They are preventing worse stuff from happening. They are sucking up to a bully to make sure that they're able to influence him. And he's really kind of apologizing. He's really kind of saying, I'm sorry that this is happening. I know that it's wrong, but I can't say so. All right. So on that note, thank you for watching.